Hello everyone, this is VJose32 back again, and this is What's on Deck. Yeah. Alright, let's take a look at what's happening in the world of cards and the world of VJose32. First of all, if you haven't already done so, go check out VJose32.net right now. In fact, go bookmark it. If you go to VJose32.net, that's your one-stop shop for playing cards, your playing card destination. All you have to do is go there. From there, you can click on YouTube and it'll be taken directly to my YouTube channel to check out my latest videos. You can also click on Card Club and be taken directly to my Facebook group, which is my forum, if you will. I was going to be doing an actual forum. The first one I did was through the website Weebly, and it was really limited. They wanted me to pay extra to get unlimited, and I decided against that. Then I decided to go with one on a different website, proboards.com, I believe it is, and I just couldn't get anyone to get on there. It was only a couple of days that I had it, but still wasn't able to get anyone on there. And I asked the people in my Facebook group, and they all preferred the Facebook group, so I decided we'll go with it. So, like I said, you can go there, from my website, check out reviews on my website. Hopefully, I'll get them all up there eventually. You can go to my YouTube channel. You can go to my Facebook group. You don't need to go anywhere else for playing cards. On top of that, my holiday contest, the holiday sandwich contest, is ending in a couple of days. If you haven't entered, make sure you do. Send a link to your video to the email address, which I believe was 2013contest18 at gmail.com or 18contest2013 at gmail.com. One of them. If one doesn't work, try the other or try both. We got about 40 responses so far. I'll start looking at responses today or tomorrow. And Magical Zach is doing the same thing. And we'll try to get results up as soon as possible. 4 prizes to win. 2 from me, 2 from Magical Zach. So only 4 winners this time. And it might be your last opportunity to win something from me. Because I'm definitely cutting back on giveaways and contests. Now, let's look at what's new in the world of Kickstarter. There is a lot to talk about. First of all, Zach Mueller launched his new Blue Fontaine playing cards. They funded within a few hours. Unlike the red Fontaines, there's going to be more of them. The red decks, I believe there was only 2,500 that were printed. These ones, there is going to be 5,000. So they're not going to be, they're not going to be as limited. And I'll make the red ones even more valuable, probably, and harder to find. But if you missed out on the red ones, it's a good opportunity to pick some up. And they're definitely going to be made, so definitely check it out. Another new deck is the Bicycle 7 Seas deck, which is a nautical themed deck. Already well funded. I don't know if they've received enough funding yet, but if there's enough funding, there's going to be a second deck printed called the Captain's deck, which looks even nicer than the Seven Seas deck. And this is being done by a company called Brain Vessel, and it looks pretty good. It looks like it's going to be a good deck and campaign. Another new deck on Kickstarter just launched. There's like 3 or 4 new decks that just launched in the last 24 hours. One of them is the Choice playing cards. Weird choice for a name, but still not a bad looking deck. I don't know if it's going to get enough funding. There's just so many other decks out there right now that this one might get, pushed aside for other decks. But it is, the back design, I don't know if it can improve on it or not. It looks pretty simplistic. But the court cards, a nice contemporary look. I like them, really nicely done, hand-drawn. And if it doesn't work out this time, I definitely suggest you guys try again. Because they definitely look like they're really nice cards. Another relatively new deck is the Bicycle Erratic Kings, or actually just Erratic Kings. This is being done by The Other Look, which previously did the Bicycle Voyager deck. I think I mentioned this one last week already. And there's going to be 4 decks total possible in this campaign. Right now you can get a unbranded deck and a Bicycle Erratic Kings branded deck. If there's enough funding, you'll also be able to get a Tally Ho deck. And if there's even more funding, a B deck. Unfortunately, funding is a little bit slow, so I'm not sure if we're going to see Tally Ho or B at all. but it's still a cool idea, and I haven't seen any custom branded tally hole decks and B decks, or very few B decks. Definitely no tally holes. Another new deck, relatively new, is the Edgar Allan Poe. This one to me is buyer beware because so far they've only got 3 images up on their, basically 3 or 4 images up. Only 3 cards that they've done. And the back design looks like it's a one-way design, and it could be copyright issues for all I know. I'm avoiding it, and I recommend doing the same, although they are about 50% funded somehow. The back design, if it is what is showing on the back of the box, is a very bad one-way design with a portrait of Edgar Allan Poe on it, which I don't like. Another new deck, which is not doing too good, is the Texas playing cards. This is from a guy on United Cardists, I believe. I can't recall if he already ran this project once and it failed, or if he was just going to run it. What I do know is that, actually no, he didn't run it yet, but he's had his website, TexasPlayingCards.com, up for a while. You can find out more about the cards there, or just go to the Kickstarter page. It's a deck of cards that's been sitting around he's been planning it for a while. Originally, he was only going to be selling it to Americans on Kickstarter, but he's opened it up to everyone, which is good. The deck has got a pretty traditional back design. Kind of looks like the Texan deck from the USBC, except that it is a black back design with a couple of stars on it, unlike the Texan deck, which is red. But it's similar. And then in the corners, he's got the Texan flag, basically, in each corner. The faces, somewhat custom, but they look somewhat classic and traditional. The box itself looks like one of those decks that you would find that's made in China or something like that. It's not nothing extraordinary. The deck is unique, however, because it has 64 cards in it instead of 54. What you get is 2 additional jokers, so you get 4 jokers, 1 per suit. The Joker of Spades, Joker of Hearts, Joker of Diamonds, and Joker of Clubs. You also get 2 additional court cards per suit. A Bishop and a Cavalier, which is basically French for Knight. I personally would prefer if they had a second female court card instead of having all these guy court cards that might get kind of similar looking. But whatever. The whole idea is to kind of improve on poker by creating an actual full house that is all court cards, and using the ace as the low card and the 10 as the, as he calls it, the tower card, which is the last card before the court cards, that sort of a thing. It's pretty interesting. The jokers look really nice. The court cards would have been nicer if they looked more like the jokers. He's looking for, I believe, 30 grand in this campaign, because he has to print 2 decks for every deck, basically. 2 seats for every deck. The box is going to be done by a different company, because USBC does not do tuck boxes for more than 54 cards. Cards are printed USBC though, and he has to print, like I said, 2 seats per deck. That's why, well, he has to print 2 seats per deck because there's more than 54 cards. And in return, you actually have to buy 2 decks. They're both going to be complete decks. It's not like you're going to get 1 deck and then a few other cards. You're going to get 2 complete decks, but you have to pay for 2 because he has to print 2 seats per deck. The cost, in the end, is basically the same as 2 other decks on Kickstarter, for me anyways, with shipping and everything. So it's not bad. You could check it out. You may or may not like it. You may or may not like Texas. And there is a little bit of additional cost, I think, as well, because there is taxes that he has to pay, so in Texas, so that's that. Another new deck of cards, and I know this is taking a long time, but it's going to be a long video. Another new deck of cards is the Swords playing cards, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's basically like Swords of Glass. It is being put out by System 6 Magic, which previously did the Belief playing cards on Kickstarter, which are shipping out right now. These ones, I'm not as huge of a fan. They're not bad looking. They are improving the court cards, which were all basically the same. Like all the jacks were the same, the queens were the same, and the kings were the same. Now they're all a little bit different and a little bit better. But basically, the back design, the quote cards, everything is custom, but they're all kind of like a broken glass, basically. Like it looks like you're looking at a shattered piece of glass. And there's two colors. There's a red and there's a black. What's interesting is the box actually has a cutout on the front in a kind of a weird shape, but that's different. It's unique, and I think there's also one on the thumb thing on the flap is also a little bit different, but I haven't seen that. And like I said, that's from System 6 Magic, and it's not bad. It might not be for everyone's taste. I'm not even sure if it's going to get funded. We'll see. Another new deck of cards that just came on today, which is actually 3 decks of cards, is the French Revolution playing cards. There's 3 decks. There's the Rebel, the Reign, and the Revolution. One is red, one is blue, one is white, which also matches the colors of the French flag and also the American flag for all the American patriotic fans. Yeah. The white deck has a guillotine theme, which has guillotines on the back design and the jokers, and all the quote cards are headless with like blood spurting, which is pretty cool. And all the kings in each deck are different, I believe. The rest of the cards, the white deck has custom headless court cards. The blue and the red deck have the same queens and jacks, from what I can see. Jokers are different in every deck. The back design is different in every deck. Looks pretty solid for a campaign. They're looking for $30,000. It is a possibility that it will make it, but at the same time, with a $30,000 campaign, it's less likely to get funded. But I do recommend checking it out. Another new deck on Kickstarter, which just launched earlier today, is the Bicycle Pyromaniac, which I might have told you before. It's from collectibleplayingcards.com. If you missed that on the campaign, go to collectibleplayingcards.com. You'll be able to get it there. It's got a pyro and fire theme, lots of flames. All I could say is the faces on these cards and the backs on these cards are hot, literally, because there's just fire everywhere. The jokers are skulls, and there's even a reveal, which looks pretty cool, look pretty badass, and it looks pretty interesting. The back design is pretty nice. The jokers are pretty nice. The quote cards and number cards, not bad. Depends on your taste. It's already 37% funded, and it should get completely funded within the next week or so, if not less time than that. Their decks always get funded, so it's not going to be a surprise if it gets funded. It'll be a surprise if it didn't get funded, to me personally. And one other new deck that just launched is the Bicycle Gunslingers, which has a gun theme. And it looks pretty cool. It's a second edition deck, sort of. What happened was, a year or two ago, a website called thecarnartist.com, which never really got off the ground, ordered and produced some decks called the Bicycle Gunslingers. And there was images floating around, but again, they never ended up selling the decks. They never ended up going public. And they're sitting somewhere, and I don't know what's going to happen with them, if anything. Well, now somebody has gotten the rights to it, and they've produced their own version, which is pretty much the same, I think. A little bit different, possibly. And it's on Kickstarter. It just launched, and they were selling 10 decks for $1 each, free worldwide shipping. I got one, I'm happy to say. Best deal ever on Kickstarter. However, I don't know if it's going to make it, because they haven't got any other backers yet, basically, except for the $1 decks. As for other projects that were funded or ended, or almost ending, whoops, sorry, my arm's getting tired, I had to switch positions here. The Carbon Fiber playing cards has 9 days left. It is well funded. I thought about getting one, but it's $100, so I decided I can buy a few more decks for that price. The Mana playing cards was funded, and they are planning to do a gold version of the Mana Oracle Edition deck, the original deck, sometime in the near future. The Nox playing cards from Metropole, those were funded, the first successful Canadian playing card project, and the Mana, I guess, was the second. The Bicycle Creepy playing cards from collectibleplayingcards.com were funded. And the Decked Out Fasten playing cards was also funded. Those ones are $30 cards that had basically models and fasten on every card. It basically looks like you were looking at a fashion magazine. A little bit pricey. Again, I was considering it, but then I changed my mind. This wasn't really my cup of tea. A couple other decks to mention that are ending soon. One is the Vampire and Zombie decks, which is two decks. Only 7 days left. It's not going to make it. Only 21% funded. Just horrible decks. They don't deserve to make it, in my opinion. Another one is the Nouveau playing card, which is French for new. Has 8 days left, I believe. They're 75% funded. I don't know if it's going to make it. They only need like 300 more pounds. It's going to be made by a company in UK. They're only looking for a couple £1,000 or whatever. It's going to be close. I don't know if it's going to make it or not. It's really not my cup of tea. Like there's not a whole. It's pretty simplistic and standard, and I just wasn't really a big fan of it. And the other one is the Global Unrest bicycle playing cards. 3 days left, and it's only 67% funded. It's not looking good. Much like the first time or two that they did these civil unrest playing cards, they weren't successful. Then it came back again, and it was successful. This one, yet I don't know. Maybe people just are uneasy about getting this pledging for this deck of cards when the civil unrest is still has not been delivered, or maybe they just don't like it as much. I really don't know. Time will tell. I will say, as a little buyer beware, the civil unrest playing cards, and I mean, that one I don't understand too much. Because what's going on with it? Because the guy posted an update back in early December, right at the beginning of December, saying that he had been in contact with them. I think stuff had been approved, and they were going to be printing card cases in a week, and the cards a week after that. And then he posted an update a few days ago, just before the holidays, saying, I'm going to be sending my first payment to them, to USB-C, as soon as I can. I can't do it right now because they're closed for the holidays, but I'll do it right after the holidays, and then I'll send a second payment. And it's like, you said a couple of weeks ago that you were printing these things, and now you're saying you haven't even sent them a first payment. They're not going to print anything until you send a payment. So it's really confusing. Buyer beware. I think it sounds a little suspicious. But he claims otherwise, and apparently he claims that I misread his post. But whatever. Other news to tell you about. There are new owners at both UnitedCardists.com and AFriCards.com, or PlayingCardForum.com. United Cardist is owned by Mike Ratlids now, no longer Mike at Being Poker World, which is good. And everyone that was banned has been unbanned or back. It's kind of funny that CBJ, aka Bicycle Cards on Facebook, is now a newbie when he was like the number one guy there before. This is kind of funny. And and they're going to be actually partnering with another website called PlayingCardDB.com, which is kind of like, I guess, trying to be the IMDb.com of playing cards. I don't know. I checked it out. Pretty cool. And of course, AFriCards is now owned by the same people as 52 Plus Jokers, which is a very quite well-known playing card collector group. And so that's good. Aside from the owner is like 80 years old or something like that. He looks pretty old. 70, 80 years old, whatever. I would have bought these websites if somebody had told me they were available, but nobody told me they were available, so I missed out. Other new decks. One is the Bicycle Chinese Opera, which is an interesting deck that is produced for somebody in China. There is some custom coloring on the code cards and a nice ace, but the rest is pretty standard. The backs are pretty interesting. They are one-way back. Each quarter section of the back design has a different image, all making up a face of a Chinese person, artistic Chinese person, like opera, I guess. And it's pretty interesting, so definitely check it out. It's available on eBay for a couple of sellers. I've got one on the way. I will review it. Also, the Blue Crown recently released their white Luxury Crown deck that was 3 days ago, I believe. And they were selling the regular ones, which I'm guessing they made 2,500 of, or 3,000, or 2,500 to 5,000 of. I'm not really sure how many. They were selling those at about $10 each. And they were also selling a limited edition one with, I assume, gilded edges like the other ones, and of course a custom seal and the nice metal plate with Alex Pandrea's signature on it. Those ones were $50 each. And they also come with a pack jacket, which is pretty cool. And they were throwing in, I don't know, there was some kind of a deal what they sold out on that. I'm not sure if those limited ones are still available or not. Probably, I'd assume they are. And same with the other ones. Another new deck I just found out about, by the way, is the Phantom deck by Eric Dwan. That's his latest deck. It's not bad looking from what I've seen. Court cards look pretty awesome. Or pretty interesting anyways. I look forward to getting it. Somewhat similar to the Angry God of Wealth deck, at least a box. Reminds me of it a little bit. And this one is available through Murphy's Magic, so it's available at most Magic shops like Penguin Magic. It's probably the cheapest one. MJM Magic. Free Post Magic for those in the UK, and probably other Magic sites as well. Another new deck is the Fake and Genius deck. Fake and Genius number 2, actually. Fake and Genius actually has another an earlier edition, Fake and Genius, and also the Fast and Genius, and this is Fake and Genius number 2. Again, available at different Magic shops. And also Being Poker World has the original one. But they're a little bit pricey. What they are is a special custom gaff deck. The cards are completely non-standard. There's no pips, there's no indexes, there's no court cards, no jokers, no aces, nothing. The cards basically allow you to perform all sorts of different types of tricks for children. Like there was one that I saw, you can see a video on YouTube of a whole bunch of these deck tricks, but there was one where they had a card that had lips on it, like a kiss. And then he did like a double lift or whatever. Or he did a double lift or whatever. There was a frog. He then, I guess, kissed the frog and turned it into a prince, that sort of thing. Fairy tale type stuff, kids type stuff. Pretty cool if you're into performing, especially for kids. Myself, I'm not really interested. Never got the first one, ain't getting the second one. Of course, also recently released is the Virtuoso V2 deck of playing cards from the Verts. I think they might still be available to whoever got the links. I'm not sure. If you missed out, didn't get the link, they will be available to the public in a few weeks. Although they will cost $1 more, I believe. But still worth it. And one last new deck is the Prime Noir playing cards. From PrimePokerCards.com. You can get it on the website, but I think they only ship to people in Europe. I did find, however, the deck available on jpplayingcards.co.uk. He also has the previous deck, the Prime Sketch Edition. And it looks pretty cool. You should definitely check it out. Both decks if you haven't gone. And there's also other decks in red and blue that's a more standard deck from Prime Poker Cards. Those ones and the sketch deck you can get at Conjuring Arts and the Tannins and possibly elsewhere. The Noir, I've only seen at JP Playing Cards and on their website. I'm also happy now that JP Playing Cards actually accepts payments through Amazon instead of just PayPal, because that's a pain in the ass for me. There's more new decks coming soon. One of them is the Trevor Knowles Castleback. This is from Grizzly Bear Cards, I guess it is. It's actually owned and being put out by Ashley of the Cardists, who did the Greenback playing cards recently on Kickstarter. He only had like 100 decks or whatever, and I don't anticipate he's going to have a whole lot more of these. They're not bad looking. I think the Greenback might even just a little bit better looking. I'll keep you updated as to when that actually launches, but it is coming. And by the way, the Greenback decks have all shipped out, and you should be receiving them in the near future if you pledged for them. Yeah, another new deck coming to Kickstarter soon is the Origins playing deck of cards. And there's a second one that's in white as well. That's probably going to be on there. Very nicely designed, Very nice court cards, very nice back design, lots of details. I like it. I've been seeing images of this deck for months and months on the forums, and I can't wait for it to launch. Another new deck coming soon from Jackson Robinson is a United States Army deck, which has a similar look to the Federal 52s. However, it's different. It's U.S. Army themed, and should be pretty awesome. Another new deck coming soon that I was actually approached by the creator to help him launch the Kickstarter project and run it, but then he found somebody else, is the Bicycle Certificate. And he's still going to be sending me some decks, which is pretty awesome, as a sponsorship type thing. The Bicycle Certificate is kind of similar to the Federal 52s. Either way, they look beautiful, and I look forward to them. And then there is the Requiem playing cards, which I think I've mentioned before. I think they found someone to help run the Kickstarter project. These are a deck of cards that have red backs and red faces. Some kind of weird images on the court cards, but pretty cool nonetheless. If you want to know more, PTC Magic on YouTube has a review. Go check it out. And that is just on a prototype, but still close enough. More or less, you get the idea. Another new deck, a couple more new decks coming soon. One is the Jules Verne themed deck from Club 808, which I think is called Voyages Extraordinaire, I believe. Tentative title, possibly, I'm not sure. Don't know when it's coming. Might not be until February. Who knows? And coming soon to the Black Club is the Gold Artifice deck. And I just found out, they sent out emails that everyone who renews their membership, which is going to be available, the renewals will be available towards the end of January, around January 20th, I assume, because that is when the current memberships, and they've extended the memberships until Christmas time, and now they've extended them again like another month, because they were waiting for these decks to come. The Gold Artifice, by the way, the box looks amazing. Everyone who renews their membership next month will get free decks, absolutely free. Originally, I was hearing 1, now I'm hearing 3. Also, originally, I was hearing we'd be able to buy up to 6 more. I don't know if that's still the case, or if it's going to be less than that. Either way, pretty freaking awesome. I can't wait. They look amazing. And they also promise this will be the last Artifice deck, or last Artifice color to come your way. Although they said that before, so who knows. But yeah, that is coming, and I'm not sure if there's going to be any other freebies. They did promote a lot in the email about all this stuff that Black Club members got, like a free Madison Rounders deck, free Red Arcane, although you have to buy something and pay for shipping. The Gold Arcane Uncut Seat was free. Again, you have to pay for shipping though. Having 24 hours notice on stuff, and all sorts of stuff. It's pretty cool. Unfortunately, it looks like it's going to cost $147 again. Not so cool. I think especially people who are doing the membership, to get more than just free decks, they should get a lower membership cost. But whatever. I'm going to be renewing it anyways. And I'm sure most people will, especially with getting free Red Arcanes and now free Gold Artifice decks, etc., etc. Anyways, that's what I got. Apologize for making this half an hour episode, but there's lots going on this week, which is surprising. I think next year for Christmas, I want no new decks of cards until the new year, because this is absolutely ridiculous. But anyways, I'll see you next time.